So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, day one of free agency is in the books, and after a big day of breaking news and big time contracts, the NFL landscape has changed drastically in just one day. But the Detroit Lions are one of the few teams that had a different strategy this offseason. Instead of throwing money at all these big name free agents, the Detroit Lions on day one decided to stay in-house, stay in Allen Park, and re-sign the guys they feel are a part of their future, and then eventually branched out into some smaller name, lesser known, and obviously cheaper free agents in the process of late day one free agency. And today we're going to talk about those guys. We're going to talk about the guys that re-signed yesterday, the guys that signed new free agent contracts today or yesterday, and of course, to cap it off, we are going to talk about some of the guys that could still be targets for the Detroit Lions going forward over the next couple of days. So with that being said, and without any further ado, let's get right into talking about day one of free agency. Now, the Detroit Lions, as I said, they stayed in-house. They stayed in Allen Park and re-signed a bunch of players from last year's roster that they felt would be huge impact players for many years to come, or for the very least, big-time impact players for next season. Now, the first of which came very early in the morning as the Detroit Lions signed Tim Boyle, the backup quarterback, to a one-year, $2 million contract. Now, this is not a very expensive contract for a backup quarterback, but you're not getting a very good product either. Tim Boyle was 0 for 3 as a starting quarterback last year with a 65% completion percentage, 526 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Now, to Tim Boyle's credit, 2 of the 3 losses were incredibly close, as the Cleveland game came down to just 3 points in difference, and the Atlanta Falcon game came down to just 4 points in between the difference of winning and losing. But he did lose both of those games, and in the Falcons game in particular, he threw an interception with just 9 yards to go to the end zone, a touchdown that surely would have won the Lions the football game. Tim Boyle couldn't come up for the victory. So Tim Boyle, not a very good quarterback, but at this point, the Lions aren't really at the point as a franchise where they can afford to spend big money on a backup quarterback, right? That's really for your teams that have Super Bowl aspirations, that have playoff aspirations. The Lions right now don't really have playoff aspirations, right? They're trying to get better. They're trying to build slowly. They're trying to improve from a season ago and try to make that playoff push next year. And at this point, the Lions likely aren't going to make the playoffs in 2022, right? They're just not built enough as a team, and they're just not ready to contend yet, right? I think another year, another good draft, another good offseason after this one, assuming this one goes well, then you're going to see the Lions in some real contention for the playoffs. But for this year, it's Tim Boyle. It's 1 year. It's $2 million. It's super cheap. Best case scenario, he never sees the field. Hopefully, if he does see the field, Ben Johnson can do something with him, at least, try to use that big arm and that athleticism to his advantage if Jared Goff does go down. But at the end of the day, it's a backup quarterback. I know people are upset. I'm not happy with Tim Boyle, but at the end of the day, it's not that bad of a signing. Now, Evan Brown was a great signing by the Detroit Lions. Evan Brown signed a 1-year extension on his contract with the Detroit Lions as well, right after Tim Boyle signed his. Now, the contract details are not officially out on Evan Brown, but Evan Brown did start 12 games for the Detroit Lions last year, playing 755 snaps and only allowing 1 sack. He was a really, really good depth piece for the offensive line, can play any guard position or, of course, play that center position at an incredibly high level. And overall, Evan Brown was one of the most surprising players from a season ago. One of the players that, just kind of came out of nowhere. One of those players that just, showed up when he was asked to show up and played really, really well. And the Lions actually returned every single member of their offensive line from a season ago. So they're running it back with that offensive line. Hopefully it can stay healthy and start the season healthy, and they can live up to the potential of the top 5 line that a lot of people thought they would be in the 2021 season. Now, Jalen Elliott was also extended on his contract as an exclusive rights free agent, so he's kind of grouped in with that whole group of Scott Daly and Jack Fox and Riley Patterson and Godwin Igwebuike and Tommy Kramer and the rest of those really young guys, a lot of them being undrafted free agents from a year or two ago. Jalen Elliott falls under that category. He was a exclusive rights free agent. The Lions wanted a little bit more time to look at him, a little bit more time to talk to him, but they did eventually end up re-signing him as well, so he will be the 14th exclusive rights free agent added to the Detroit Lions roster, and will be the 14th exclusive rights free agent to return to Detroit a season from now. And then the last of the, I would say, small contracts, or the less news-breaking contracts, if you want to call them that, would be Sean Deion Hamilton, who also signed a 1-year contract with the Detroit Lions. He was a member of the roster a season ago, but never really got an opportunity to see the field, faced injuries early in the season, and may have even missed the entire season with an injury, but I personally do not remember seeing him on the field at all a season ago. Hopefully he can get healthy and can show what he is capable of, because with the Washington football team, he looked like a pretty good young foundational piece, and not necessarily someone that's going to be like a top 10 linebacker in the future, but somebody that can rotate in and play his role and play his responsibilities very, very well for being such a young and inexperienced player. He showed a lot of flashes with Washington, and a lot of Lions fans are hoping to see those flashes reoccur in Detroit. Now, getting on to 2 of the bigger contracts from yesterday, still re-signings, by the way. Alex Anzalone returns to Detroit on a 1-year, $4 million contract. Now, this $4 million is not guaranteed, but the contract can be upwards of $4 million based off of incentives. Now, Alex Anzalone a season ago started 14 games as the Detroit Lions defensive captain, totaling 78 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, a sack, 7 passes defended, and 1 interception. He's a leader, he's a captain. He is not the greatest football player, but he gives 110% effort and improved drastically over the course of the 2021 NFL season, and is somebody that I think the Lions wanted to bring back more for his leadership, more for his locker room ability, and more for his ability to inspire teammates, more so than his actual play on the field. But when he's playing well, he's a really good linebacker. I'd say between the Thanksgiving game and the Denver Broncos game, he really started to find his stride and started playing really, really well in the NFL and started to look like a true starting linebacker. So if he can retain that form after his season-ending injury, then it's going to be a really good signing. But worst case scenario, you get an average linebacker for another year, you stock up in the draft, you stock up in next year's free agency, and you find a better replacement for Alex Anzalone. But for the time being, Alex Anzalone is a fine starting linebacker and will likely return as the defensive captain for the Detroit Lions. And then the biggest piece of news from yesterday was, of course, the Tracy Walker signing. Tracy Walker, the starting free safety for the Detroit Lions, cashed in yesterday with a 3-year, $25 million contract. Now, Tracy Walker is somebody that has been a starter in Detroit for a very long time. Right, has pretty much started in the system since they drafted him in 2017, and he cashed in with a big-time deal and a huge contract for the Detroit Lions. Now, $25 million for a safety that has just 3 interceptions in his career may seem like a overpay for a lot of fans, and a lot of casual fans have said that they are not comfortable with this contract, that they don't like the fact that they gave him 3 years. They don't like the fact that they're paying him all this money, but honestly, it's a pretty team-friendly contract, only taking up about $4 million off the cap for next season, only taking up, a small percentage of the cap space for next season. 2023 is where Tracy Walker's really going to see his money and where his cap hit's really going to skyrocket. But even that, his cap total is only going to be around $10 million in 2023, which is extremely manageable if you are the Detroit Lions. Tracy Walker a season ago played 15 games and started 15 games for the Detroit Lions, having 108 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, a sack, 6 passes defended, and 1 interception. He was tested less than 30 times on the season. That's less than twice per game, and allowed less than half of those attempts to be completed on him. Gave up very few opportunities deep down the field. Came away with an interception that he very much deserved in the final week of the NFL season against Jordan Love. And I know statistically he may not pop off the screen, but Tracy Walker's role in this defense as a leader and just as a playmaker is why he got re-signed. He's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but if you go watch film, if you go watch any game for the Detroit Lions, it is very clear that Tracy Walker was one of, if not the best defensive player for the Detroit Lions a season ago, and at the very least was one of the most impactful players for the Detroit Lions defense a season ago. Now, the Lions did officially sign their first free agent late into the night, or maybe even very early this morning, but as of the time recording this video, the news has broken, so we're going to talk about it. DJ Chark, the 6'4", 198-pound wide receiver who has reportedly ran a 4.38 at the NFL Combine, is signing with the Detroit Lions for a 1-year, $10 million contract, which is fully guaranteed. DJ Chark is that typical X-wide receiver, again, 6'4", big body, really fast, field stretcher, good hands, really good deep ball. I mean, he is just a really good player, and he is a lot of Lions fans' #1 target in free agency, right? It was either him or Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson's asking for a lot of money, and DJ Chark was going to be significantly cheaper on a 1-year deal coming off of an injury. If DJ Chark can stay healthy, he is a Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver, having 1,000 plus yards in the 2019 NFL season, and last year, before he actually got injured, he was averaging 22 yards per reception. He's a former Pro Bowler, and for $10 million, that is not a bad contract at all, right? It's fully guaranteed, so you can play him for a year. If he works out, you re-sign him. If he doesn't, you let him walk with 0 dead cap. If it doesn't work out, you move into next offseason and you look for that next wide receiver, right? I would expect the Lions to still address the wide receiver position in the NFL draft, but as far as free agency so far, they've only really made one move from outside the organization, but the moves that they made inside the organization and the one player they have signed from Jacksonville have all been really good signings. And overall, I think the first day of free agency for the Lions, although they didn't break a lot of news, although they weren't trending on Twitter like the Jacksonville Jaguars, I thought their first day was incredibly productive, and I thought they accomplished exactly what they set out to do in day 1 of free agency. If I had to give day 1 an overall grade, I'd give it an A-. I wasn't a big fan of the Tim Boyle signing, but everything else was really good value, right? You brought back Evan Brown, who was a huge player last year, Alex Anzalone, the captain, Tracy Walker on a really good team-friendly contract, Sean Deion Hamilton has some upside, Jalen Elliott has some upside as a depth safety, and DJ Chark is the #1 wide receiver that they have been looking for. This was a really good class, or this so far has been a really good class, really good re-signings, really good free agency signings, and they still have a lot of cap space to go out and make something happen. Now, talking about a couple free agents that the Lions could still go out and get, Allen Robinson is also still on the board, and although I think the DJ Chark news really kind of, takes away from the Allen Robinson, storyline, Allen Robinson does still have some interest from the Detroit Lions as being reported, and if the price is right, I think the Lions could still look to re-sign him. The Lions have been reportedly, been said that they're going all in on the wide receiver market, and they have said multiple times that they want at least 2, if not 3 new wide receivers in this room for next year. They said they want to, sign 1 and draft 2, but they could also look to sign 2 and draft 1 in this free agency market. So although Allen Robinson may seem unlikely, I don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibility yet, because the Lions still sit with a ton of cap space, and they could still look to bring the Detroit native home. I will admit it's very much less likely, but I still think the possibility is on the table if the Lions are to be as aggressive as Brad Holmes led people to believe. And then very recently, as early as this morning, the Jaguars released Miles Jack, the middle linebacker, really young player, severely underrated linebacker in the NFL, led the Jaguars with tackles a season ago and was a huge part of the Jacksonville defense of 2017. He is a player that is a brand new free agent added to the market, and the Lions looking to add help at the linebacker position with a lot of money to spend on young linebackers. I don't think you're going to find a better fit as far as talent and age and experience. I don't think you're going to find a better combination of age, experience, talent, and price than what you're going to get out of Myles Jack in this free agency. So right now, my top two free agents would be Myles Jack and Marcus Williams, but still keep an eye on Allen Robinson, because although the water is a little murky and although the reality is becoming less and less real every single moment that the Lions have not signed him, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for the Lions to double up at wide receiver, whether it be Allen Robinson or one more lesser known guy but can still contribute big in the NFL season. So with all that being said, that is all for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about day one down in the comments below. Again, I gave it an A- really just because of the fact they weren't super aggressive, right? They weren't as aggressive as they said they were going to be. We were kind of waiting all day for some news to be broken, but once they did make a move, it was a lot of good moves, right? Tracy Walker re-signed, DJ Chark, was brought in. A lot of good moves so far by the Detroit Lions. Not a lot of money spent, but money spent very well. So with all that being said, that is all for you guys today. Let me know again down in the comments below, what would you grade day one of free agency? I'd be very curious to hear how you guys feel about the direction the Detroit Lions are moving. But with all of that being said, that is all for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching. And until next time, and as always, go Lions!